I'm going to go just quickly open up YouTube and double check that real quick.
Okay.
But yeah, hello everyone. If you are watching, give us a few minutes. We're getting everything together all here, and then we'll get started at the top of the hour. I am joining you from the very first ever live stream from the Brittany Joyner camper that many of you have heard me talking about. So it's live, it's here, it's real, and fingers crossed the internet stays good for us for the next 30 minutes. It should. It's been good. I was telling Robin, it's been fantastic all weekend. Not a sponsor, but I have this little Wi-Fi hotspot, and we've been streaming movies, doing work, all sorts of stuff all weekend long. No problems. It's fantastic. Yeah, let's see. YouTube Studio. Content live. Yep, I see that we are live now over here. YouTube would like me to verify that I am in fact me. It's very generous of you, YouTube. I am me. Appreciate the check-in on that. Oh, it wants me to verify from another device here. I tell you what we're going to do is not that. This is also my first time streaming from LinkedIn. I have not done this before. Okay, yeah, looking good over there. I mean, I haven't done this before with Restream, but at Pixie Breaks, we've done it before, and we have this tool that, yeah, basically just lets us stream to like a LinkedIn live event. And so we had a really good attendance there. Like we had a lot, like whenever we've done them at Pixie Breaks, we've had a lot of folks join. So I thought, sure, let's try it out and see. Because I know I do have a bunch of folks on LinkedIn who are my Trello homies. Here's the event. We go to it. Click to join live. Yeah. All right. Sweet. Looking good. It looks like we are streaming on all of the places, and it is 9:01 for me now. So yeah, let's take it away. Robin, just real quick, do you want to explain what this report is that you've made here and kind of why you've created it? I know you've done it for a couple of years now. It's super cool. It's always, a real fun for us. I like this more than I like Spotify Wrapped. So yeah, tell us a little bit more about why you created it and what it is exactly.
Yeah, sure. So for a long time now, we sort of track internally. We're sort of scraping the Trello Power Up directory and just seeing what the new Power Ups are, looking for changes, stuff like that, because we're building a load of Power Ups and we just want to keep on top of what's out there, what's going on. After doing that for a couple of years, we were looking at it with one of my developers and we're like, we could take this data and we could do a bit of a report on what's new in the last year, what's growing. In the first time we did it, we did a load of other analysis of like what types of power-ups are getting the most installs and stuff like this, which we don't really bother putting in now because it's a little bit inside baseball. I think it's just the other power-up developers are interested in that. So this is it. It's data we had lying around internally, a little bit of effort, we could get it together and put together some charts and just a list of, the idea is then, people can go through and possibly there's a new power-up was released in the last 12 months that they didn't see because they haven't looked for it, so they weren't there when it was getting featured. And maybe there's something they've missed which could be of interest, and just a chance to promote, again, all the really great power-ups that are out there as well, isn't it? And just sort of give everyone another chance at getting a bit of attention off of people. So yeah, that's it.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. And it's useful for me because, as you mentioned, I'm active in Trello all the time, but I still have to, we'll see, half the ones I've gotten out here, I've either heard of but never tried. Some of them I haven't even heard of, especially like the newer ones, because there's just so many that, like you said, if you're not almost like actively looking for one, you may miss it. Even if it's featured, you may just kind of, half the time I'm going in there, I'm just like looking for something in specific. So, yeah, I love that you do this. Yeah.
I think it's good as well. Sometimes you see something new come out, but you don't look at it. It's got 100 installs or whatever. It's useful then to see like, oh, hang on, 6 months later, they've got 10,000 installs. Maybe there's something interesting about that, So that's kind of the reason we use that metric here as well. It's like, okay, these are probably all worth having a look at. There's a bunch of people out there getting value from them. So might not
absolutely,
be, but yeah, it's a good place to start. So.
Yeah, that's a super good way to put it. Because yeah, I mean, anybody can make power ups, and like, there's definitely a rigorous review process for getting something into the marketplace. But yeah, if you see something new on there, and it's like you said, got 100 board, like you're like, okay, maybe not interesting yet, but when we get on this list, it's pretty interesting. And so yeah, I'm excited. I look forward to this every year, and we've been trying to schedule this since January, and then I got sick last time we scheduled it. But I was like, let's go through this and let's just kind of talk through it together. And for everybody watching, we are winging this. There is not any sort of like planned sort of thing here. This is not, nobody has specifically sponsored this. We're not saying, hey, well, I mean, Blue Cat made the report. So like, we'll call that out up here. Like, you're going to see some Blue Cat in here, but you didn't put yourselves in here for the fun of it. Like this is true data about the growth of power ups. So there's nobody in here that we're just like mentioning because, they paid us or asked us to or anything. This is truly the fastest growing power ups of 2023 that we're going to talk through today.
Yeah, if anybody wants to send me some money in the next 5 minutes, though, I will give them a shout out.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. We won't complain about that. We won't be sad. We won't. I actually just realized Restream's not showing me my comments. So let me bring up YouTube Studio real quick so I can see, just in case we do have anybody commenting on here from our peanut galleries, and I want to make sure that I see them. So yeah, let me get that up here. It may be a bit quiet. I know it's a U.S. holiday here, and yeah, sometimes people want to join live streams on holidays. Cool people, and sometimes people don't. And you know what? It's okay. Andy's here. Yes. Okay. I see my comments now. I knew it. I had a feeling that Andy would be here. So, and it's totally up to you, Andy, whichever stream you want to tap into. I'm not going to like watch the comments in both places. Well, maybe I should try to watch the comments in both places. I don't know. We'll see how well the internet goes. If I dip for a second, then I'll know that I cannot stream it in 3 places while I'm streaming to it. So yeah, let's see what happens if I go over here. Okay. All right. I don't see anything in LinkedIn yet, but I will leave it up there in case something comes through. YouTube is perfect though. But yeah, okay. So yeah, so let's go ahead and dive right into this. So this first category is top new power-ups of 2023. And Robin, tell us more about this, but I mean, you say it right here. Power-ups launched in the last 12 months, right?
Been first launched in 2023, and then we're taking the top ones by installs. I think the first year we did this, we were going right down into power-ups that only had 1,000 installs, and I think last year we actually had 2 with 25,000 installs already over the year. That obviously there's a bit of element. If you launch in December, you're probably not going to make the list, but we have like, we pick a date and we put some numbers out basically.
Yeah.
But still like some solid installs here, to get 10,000 or 5,000 installs over the year is, I know personally, is not easy to do. So
no. Yeah, that's super interesting. And I think that actually kind of speaks a little bit to Trello and Trello's growth too, is that, if when you first started doing this, there were ones that, had 1,000 or whatever. And now we're seeing ones that had 10,000 or, 5,000 here. That's awesome to see. And yeah, kudos to them. This first one is no surprise to me. I haven't played with it because I'm not an Outlook person, but I know a lot of Outlook people. And so it is not shocking to me that this one is doing so well. Are you an Outlook person, Robin?
I am not an Outlook person, but yeah, you just hear it all the time, people looking for calendar integrations with Trello. I mean, we don't do anything with that at my company, so I can't really speak to it, but you see people asking for it all the time, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so I'm looking at now, I just brought up the power up. It sounds like it's exactly what it says, right? You can use this power up to put appointments that you can later convert into meetings on your Outlook calendar from existing cards. So basically, that's kind of cool, actually. If you need to have a meeting about something, you can just click that rather than open a new tab, go to your calendar, add in a meeting. Linking several cards to an appointment as agenda items. I mean, I'm personally more of a like, if I'm going to have a meeting in Trello, we're going to have a list and that's going to be my agenda items. But I mean, I guess that's nice to be able to, specifically go to your calendar, invite and see these are the ones we need to talk about, especially if it's not like a recurring thing that you've maybe made a border list for.
I would potentially do that because my team here, when we get on a call every week, I will have a bunch of cards I want to talk about. So being able to just link those in, and people see them then in the invite or in the meeting beforehand, that's what's going to be coming up. I can see the use of that, absolutely. So.
Yeah, I think that definitely, that could be used. Sharing appointments with your team on Trello, that can be kind of nice. I know I've worked in places before where a lot of calendars are completely locked down, and it's like nobody can see what's going on. It just shows if you're busy or free. And so I know that can be kind of nice if you've got like a team that you're trying to coordinate stuff with, and do things for that. Badges for past meetings. That's kind of nice to know, hey, this is something in the past I don't really care about anymore. Yeah. Cool. Okay. Well, I mean, we can't spend hours and hours on each one of these, or we'll be here for hours. But that's super exciting. Not too surprising to me. Statuses and workflow. This is a new one for me. I hadn't heard of this, and I was like, okay, this is very, very interesting to me, because obviously I think we're all dealing with statuses and workflows in Trello. So yeah, have you played around with anything with this yet?
I've not. I've seen a few different tools that do this, and they'll do sort of simpler things, more complicated things. Obviously, some of this you could kind of build yourself with automations, and custom fields, I guess.
Yeah.
But these guys, I just had a look through it earlier, and it looks like a really, really solid implementation. Some really nice capabilities in there. They say it's free to go. There is pro plans. It's not. I think it's the advanced features on the pro plans, but I'm not sure what that is. I'm sure if you read through the listing more in detail, it will make that clear, or if you just install it and give it a go.
Right, exactly.
$1.99 a month for unique users, not overly expensive. And again,
that's kind of like your model.
Since they
that's
launched
kind of like the Blue Cat. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I would say you can see all the work they've done since they launched it. So that's another one where if you saw it when it first came out, or when it was early featured or something, it might not have had all the stuff you want in, but they've got to 10,000 installs because obviously they've been listening to people and putting releases out with new stuff in there. Yeah, so launched in May 2023.
Yeah, okay, that's pretty impressive. So they've gotten 10,000 boards since May. So they were really only working with about half the year. That's pretty impressive there.
But this is, I mean, it's really people who are kind of wanting a sort of a Jira light almost, isn't it? They want a little bit more control maybe over how things are moving around and stuff like that. I've not played with this one specifically, but again, I hear of teams wanting that sort of control.
I've definitely seen a push of a lot of people wanting to do more of that sort of like, it's funny to me because it's like, what do you mean? Trello is lists of statuses. Like, why do you need a power up for that? But then I've seen a bunch of similar ones like this where it's, kind of like you said, it's people that are just, organizing this as they go kind of, and they want some more visual aspects of where things are, where things been, rather than, I like the dragging feature, but some people want, something a little bit more with like actually moving it through statuses. One thing I wanted to call out that, while we were talking about pricing, I believe this is something that you all do at Blue Cat too, that I think is really cool. You only pay per unique members on connected boards. So let's say I have 10 boards and I have the same 3 people on all of those boards. I'm not going to pay 3 times 10. I'm going to pay for those 3 users across all of those boards. And every power's a little different in their pricing strategy, but I think that's a good way to go about it.
Yeah, I don't know if they've got it there. We exclude observers as well, but a lot of that stuff is kind of in the fine print because otherwise your pricing explanation gets really long. So we just have the price per user per month or per member per month, and then underneath, like, this is what we don't charge you for.
Yeah, exactly. Like this is what you. Yeah. Awesome. Okay, very cool. Very cool. Let's head back over here. Exports for Trello. Tell us more about this. I've used this. Well, actually, I guess I've used the imports one more, but tell us more about the exports.
So it does what it says on the tin, really. Pretty simple. Getting your data out as a CSV. You can pull that into Excel and Google Sheets and stuff like that from there. There is a schedule option in there for people who want to get an export every week or every month at a certain time. Sometimes people they're doing a kind of a basic kind of get this and
basic reporting,
and do some sort of integration or reporting, that kind of thing. Or if they just want to pull a list of cards from one part of Trello and send it off to a meeting or something like that they go to. If people like product review meeting or something like that. That's it. There's not a lot to say about this one like the previous two. It's quite small
quite straightforward, but super useful. And I really like the point about being able to schedule them because I like there's a lot of value to being able to do that and being able to get that data in and out of Trello because you and I like using Trello, but not everybody in the world does. And so sometimes being able to quickly get it out and into a format that you can use in other places. And I hadn't even thought about combining it with import, the import power up to being able to manage backups for Trello. That's super handy.
Yeah, exactly. Again, it's a sort of like, a simpler, basic kind of backup option for you. You know, it's not pulling out some stuff like the attachments and things like that, but you get sort of a lot of all the basic fields and the custom fields, all that kind of stuff done in there. Yeah, it's and I think a lot of people who are doing exports, sometimes it's you just go in. So that's why we've got 10 free exports. If you just need to get something,
you just need to grab something quick, and
we're not going to charge you anything for that. If you want to get the same data out every single week, every month, well, pay us, but also we'll make that easier for you. We'll just send it to you. You know,
exactly. Yeah. No, that totally makes sense. Okay, let's move on to story points for Trello. I'm jumping around. Hang on. Let me actually just redo my share because I keep on I'm only sharing the specific tab. Let me just do the whole Chrome window so I don't have to keep jumping back and forth between them. Okay, perfect. So just real quick, I'm noticing a question in the comments. So from Andy, any idea if Atlassian plans on rolling Trello Marketplace into the Atlassian Marketplace? How long will they be run like two separate companies? Interesting you say that, Andy. Interesting you say that. I have no idea. I do have the feeling that something is on the horizon, and I don't know what exactly. But yeah, I think it's an interesting point. I don't think I would want this in the same directory. Would you, Robin? I kind of like that they're separate, but I don't know. But on the other hand, I maybe it is a lot easier to kind of keep everything together and whatnot. I don't know. Do you have any thoughts on that? As a power developer, would you rather be somewhere different?
More people finding my power-ups is what I like. So if
that's true.
In a larger directory where more people are coming in and looking at stuff in the marketplace and thinking, oh, maybe actually we're going to have a look at Trello and see if we can do what we want over there with this tool or other. That would be fantastic. Obviously, it also means work for us if they integrate. I'm not sure if some of the pricing models behave the same because Atlassian handle all the billing for everyone else, don't they? Which they don't in Trello land. So if we then suddenly have to convert everyone over to billing through Atlassian rather than just
your own billing,
that could be a bit of a pain. But yeah, I mean, if it happens, I'm sure there'll be enough upsides to get me through whatever the plan is. But
that's a good point. That's a good point. I hadn't thought of that. More people seeing it. Yeah. No, that makes sense. Okay, so story points for Trello. This was another one of the fastest growing. I like that they've got the unimportant section here. That's kind of funny, but
developers, I think the documentation here because they know who
absolutely. It sounds like it's your straightforward story points sort of power up. It's fully free as of now. They don't charge anything for the usage, no trial period, so that's pretty cool. So yeah, I would definitely give this a shot. Every now and then I am looking for something that helps me keep track of story points in Trello. You can of course make it with custom fields, but if there's different features like this is pretty nice where it's going to show you how many points are in each list. That's super handy because aggregating data from aggregating data from custom fields without a power up is a pain. So that's why, I would definitely use something like this if I was looking for something quick and easy to just, I want to keep track of my tasks and the weight of them all because one card, not all cards are equal. So yeah, pretty straightforward.
It's another one. It does what it says on the tin, doesn't it? Really? I mean, if you're looking for story,
exactly.
It's worth looking at.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Discord notifications. This one seems pretty straightforward as well. I love this trend where we just name power ups what they do because I mean that in all seriousness. There's no need to get anything fancy on it. And I assume this would be kind of cool if this worked with Slack. I'm not a big Discord person. I use it somewhat, but when I'm in there, I definitely don't want my notifications coming into Trello. But for Slack, that would be pretty freaking cool. I'm just watching this little video here because it seems to kind of walk you through it. And you just say, I guess, here's this channel, trigger a notification. Let's see. Oh, interesting. So this is pushing notifications to Discord.
Yeah.
Got it. When I first read it, I don't know why I was like Discord notifications coming into Trello, but so this is basically like the Slack power up. this is just like the Slack power up then, just with Discord.
So yeah, again, like if that's what you need, this is the power up to get, right?
So, exactly. Yeah. Okay, that totally makes sense.
Thought they wanted that, hadn't noticed that was a thing that they can get now. Like
yeah.
So you can see where they're going to get installs, right?
Great power. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. No, that's handy. That makes sense. If anybody's listening for an idea, if you can get like, I know there's the Slack app where you can create a new card from things, but it would be kind of cool if you could have like without having to build something in Zapier or whatever, if you could have like a power up that connected to a Slack channel, and anytime a new message was posted in there, it created a card in like an inbox list. That would be kind of cool.
Yeah.
Really cool. Okay. Moving on to fastest growing third party. So this category, Robin, this is basically just, Trello didn't make these. Other people, Power Up developers have made these, and these are the fastest growing ones, regardless of when they were created. It wasn't just created in,
Exactly that, yeah.
Yeah, perfect.
Yeah, so you got, I mean, so also one of the ways this works, because we do it by the buckets in Trello, like the 1 to 5,000 installs, 5 to 10,000. So the top few are, the top two anyway, have been around for a fair while. I think Card Relationships, I know, has been around for a long time, but they've gone from the 25 to 50,000 to the 50 to 100,000. They must have 100,000 installs now, and have gone up from like 50 to 100. Yeah,
I have used them before. I've used Hello Epics before when I was trying to, you have like a parent card that is almost like a project, and then you have like children card that are like subtasks within it. I've used it for that. I haven't used it in a while. There's a lot of different alternatives for trying to do things like that. But this is the one that I often do keep coming back to when someone's looking for something kind of quick and dirty for like, I just want parent-child relationships with cards. I think Hello Epic.
Yeah. I mean, this is the original parent-child relationships power up, basically. It's been around the longest, and I think it probably does what it does very, very well, one you see, there's a lot of different solutions for it, and I don't know if some of them have got a different take. They're doing stuff slightly differently, whereas some of them are just kind of me too's as well. But
right, yeah, okay, makes sense.
I mean, that's like one of the most popular just all time. Whenever you see people asking anywhere, like, what's your favorite power-ups, I'm sure like card numbers gets mentioned at least half of the time,
So it's so funny to me, because I see that too. I see that people like card numbers. What do you think is the benefit of this? Because it's not something I would ever think that I need. Is like, does it just come from like ticketing tools where everybody likes a like unique ID that they can visualize for a card?
An ID that they can reference, so they can go to the sales team and say, hey, like, your call's ticket number 11.
Yeah.
And then people can just talk about ticket number 11, So that's it. People want an ID that they can give to someone. And I don't know if that's, CRM, customers or something they're talking to over the phone, or if it's just internal purposes.
Right.
For, job numbers, I guess, if you're running like a small sort of manufacturing process, or like, car mechanics or something, you've got a job number there for that card when you've created it. That person is now job number 11. And you can write that on a piece of paper, and it all matches up nice and easily, doesn't it? So
yeah, I guess that's true. And if you're thinking of like GitHub like issues, you have issue numbers and stuff. So yeah, it's not something that I have personally ever been like, wow, if I don't have this in Trello, I will cry. But like you said, I see a lot of people in the community asking, how do I get a unique ID? How do I get see what number the card is? And I'm just like, that's interesting. Swim Lanes by Blue Cat. Tell us more about this one.
So swim lanes, we should see some pictures there. So breaks your board down into horizontal swim lanes. So you've still got the lists or columns along the top, but then you can break it into horizontal lanes by member, by label, by custom field, things like that.
It's like making a pivot table for your board, right? Kind of like you're pivoting by two different dimensions of like your list, but also, like you said, member or whatever else you're wanting to pivot by.
Yeah, exactly. So it's a really quick way then. If you've got it by member, you can go and see for each member where their work is. If people got more work over here or over there, you can actually drag stuff around and reassign it. Same with the labels. It's just a different way of looking at the board. For some people, absolutely super useful is what they want. So like a lot of Kanban and sort of development teams that I worked on in the past would absolutely use this sort of stuff. So you can see by person, where their workload was, or by, feature area, if that's the way you're breaking the work down. So you can see sort of what work is is where, and kind of plan ahead a little bit. So
Yeah, I've used this on a couple different boards. And I think there's a lot of people who are like, there's so much going on in a Trello board. It's kind of overwhelming. I think stuff like this helps so much because it's like, go to your lane. Find what you need to care about, whether it's through filters or whatever it is, and just focus on that. Because yes, there's, executives and like, not even just executives, but like project managers and like managers of teams who need to see everything in one place. But like, if you focus on your lane, like, that's how everything's going to move forward in the right way. And so it's like, super nice way to find what you're looking for. And I like that you can do it by custom fields too, because that's, I am disappointed in how Trello doesn't interact with like custom fields in terms of filters or like adding columns for that in table view or things like that. So if you're using custom fields, this is a good way to kind of get in there.
Yeah, absolutely. What's the letter you can hit to filter it so it only shows your cards?
Spacebar, right? Or wait, no, spacebar adds you. It's Q. Sorry, it's Q. It's Q because spacebar is the one that adds you to a card, but I believe it is Q. Let's see. We'll try it out live here. I think it is. Is it Q? Yep, it's Q. Yep.
There we go.
So yeah, free tip for you. Yeah.
It's kind of like that, but for managers. So it filters it to still show everyone's cards, but broken down by everyone, so you can see where everyone's at.
It's a good way to group it rather than exactly. Miro, yeah. I mean, this is a pretty straightforward integration power up. It seems like, right? I mean, I'm not a huge Miro user at the moment. I have before, but at the moment I'm not really. But it looks like pretty much what it does is it just kind of attaches it here. So if you're like, I've got a Miro board of like user research, we're talking about that. You can just attach it, and it's right here. There's no more having to say, well, we're talking about this. Let me open a new tab. Go search in Miro. Oh, it's this one. I'm kind of surprised at this point there's not like an embed because I feel like they're starting to move towards that with like smart links inside of cards and stuff like that. Like I wonder if that might be something we see on the horizon coming soon, where it's not just a link to Miro, but there's like a little embed preview version here. What do you think?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, again, haven't used whiteboards for a long time, but yeah, I can see you sort of want a bit more capability in there perhaps as well, or like open up something on the board button so you can actually get a whiteboard for the board or something that you're gonna
exactly, that would be pretty cool. Andy, you'll have to let us know. I know Confluence has whiteboards, so can we embed Confluence whiteboards in Trello? I don't know. I mean, I feel like that could be kind of cool. Maybe there's some stuff we can do there. Blue Cat again,
it's the only one on the list which is like a third party, like an integration with another tool.
Yeah. Like it's its own tool. Yeah, it is. That's super interesting. So yeah, that is pretty noteworthy because you think about other things that like, Typeform or, there's a bunch of Salesforce, like, I mean, a bunch of other types of integrations that work in there. So that is like a super interesting call out.
All right. So I'm going to whip through So I'm going to whip through them really quickly so we can talk about the Unito one at the end. But yeah, timing list does what it says on the tin. How long has this card been in this list? It also, how long has this card been on the board? It'll do. But if you're interested in that kind of thing, it's super useful for letting the team organize themselves around the work that has been stuck the longest and making sure it gets moving, managing SLAs, that kind of thing. But yeah.
Exactly. It's very, very Kanban-y sort of thing, right? Where if you've got too much in your work in progress, you need to, figure out what's your roadblock, your bottleneck there. And makes sense.
Exactly. Got reports. So that's like our big power up really. So I would say the most comprehensive reporting tool for Trello. Does a lot. Go and have a look at the power up listing if you want to find out.
I was gonna say we could do a whole live stream just on reports by Blue Cat. And I got some videos. I talked about in my book about like reporting power ups for Trello, and I talk about 3 different ones. Blue Cat is one of them, and I think this is, if you're looking for something really, I don't want to say quick and dirty because it makes it sound cheap, but if you're like, I don't want to configure a bunch of stuff, I just want to see data about my cards in Trello, or I want to quickly be able to find cards that meet this or that criteria, this is the one I recommend. You can get set up in minutes. There's tons of features. I love the list. Are they called a quick list? Is that what they're called? Where I can basically just pass some criteria, and you can kind of see a little bit in this screenshot here. I can just say, hey, I think about filters, but like you can actually make columns with things you care about, right? Rather than, Trello table view that just shows you the name of the card, the list, things like that. You could see time and list. So I can say, show me all the cards that have, been on this board for more than, 10 weeks or something like that. And you can have a column for time and list. You can see, your custom fields, like, well, what's the priority on it, or, who's working on it, and things like that. So yeah, I'm a big fan. We could obviously talk about this for hours and stuff, but
yeah.
What about these next ones here?
Forms to Trello. Does what it says on the tin. Integrate with uploading.
Hey, that's me.
Yes, yeah. So you can insert attachments to cards. So you create a form, somebody fills out the form, it creates a card in Trello. So great for little places where you want that kind of stuff. Basically, you can do a lot of clever stuff with a form, hiding fields, showing fields, depending on what people put in, different kinds of field types, integrates with your custom fields. It's a free plan where you get enough to sort of properly test it out anyway, 10 form fills a month. So if you're really low volume, you can do that. That's what we're doing there, basically.
Absolutely. I remember when you all came out with this, and I was so excited, which is why I made a video about it, because so many people ask that. And just even the other day in the community, I saw someone asking, is there like a native way to connect Google Forms to Trello? And like, shockingly, there's not. Like, it was so surprising to me that if you wanted like filling out a form to create a card in Trello, there was nothing like off the bat that would do that for you. And so, I'm a big fan of this. I use this for, I have a Dear Taco section of my Trello newsletter. And if you submit a question, so, you can see here, we've got forms. You can see I've got a form for submitting your Trello question, and Dear Taco. So, it's literally this link. Anybody in the world can access it. If you're my newsletter subscriber, you'll get a link for it every week where you can submit your Trello question. You can send attachments if you want to share screenshots, and it creates a new card on this Trello board. And each week I just pick somebody in my list here, and I go through their question about Trello and I answer it in my newsletter. And so Blue Cat works perfectly, or Forms by Blue Cat works perfectly for that. Big fan.
Cool. And import
another one of my favorites.
Import data into Trello.
Yes.
So it's the opposite of export, basically. Yeah. There you are.
Exactly. Yep. That's me again. I was just recommending this to a client a couple weeks ago because they're like, well, we've got all of our data in Google Sheets right now. And I was like, well, let me tell you what, you will not have to spend hours and hours getting that into Trello. I'll tell you that. This was super useful and very nice sort of thing. You do something similar, free for your first 10 imports. Again, you're not trying to make money off of someone who's just trying to like try it out or has like a one-off for this or that. It's more of if you're regularly wanting to do that. And, it seems pretty fair to me that if you're regularly using a power up, you should pay for it. I mean, I don't know. That blows some people's minds, but it seems pretty intuitive to me. What I really like about this is too, you can map to, specific areas. So, you can be able to say this thing here, it's a checklist item, or, this thing here, it's actually a label. And so that's super handy rather than you having to craft all that.
We added the checklist imports as well. So you can add cards and you can add checklist items under those cards. And if there's data that doesn't map nicely into Trello, you can just put it in the description and we can just accumulate all of the additional data there and it's kind of labeled up in the description. So you're doing that kind of migrating from one setup to a new setup. Maybe the data doesn't come over in a perfect way, but at least it's there, and you can
exactly. It's you haven't lost anything. I also like that you check the data too. Like that's pretty handy. I don't have to import and hope for the best. It's like, oh, okay, that matches. Like, okay, you can compare what I've got to what I'm saying I want you to do with it and say if that makes sense or not. Okay, the last one here on this list then is Unito's Google Calendar and Trello two-way sync. And so this is super funny and timely because I just saw someone asking me about this pretty recently. There's not a fantastic way for Google Calendar and Trello to talk to each other. Like if you're on any sort of board, you've probably seen that, you go to calendar view and there's the whole sync to personal calendar. It's not a two-way sync. Pretty much, and sometimes in my experience, it's not even a fantastic one-way sync, if I'm being honest. I don't know if anybody here has actually used it, but like, you may set a card for here and it'll pop up on your calendar on the 7th, but then you move it over to the 8th and it doesn't always move back over. It's kind of weird with that. But this does, again, as we've been saying, exactly what's on the tin here. Like you can say what you pick a calendar and say, hey, this is meant to mirror my Trello board. And so mirror things over. If I move something on Google Calendar, move that in Trello and, you know, fix the due date with that and fix everything there. And Unito is, I'll say it, it's not the cheapest power up I've ever seen in my life, but if you are trying to make two tools talk to each other, this is the easiest way to do it. The easiest way to do it. Anything else, you're going to have to build complex automation. You're going to have to hire somebody to build you an app. Like it's not, you know, it's not going to cost you 5 cents. It's not a free power up, but it does exactly what you need it to do if you're trying to keep two tools connected to each other and you don't want to do anything complicated to set it up. You just say what you want to sync and it syncs everything together very nicely. So yeah, okay, let's move on. I think, is this the, nope, man, we've still got 2 more categories to go through here. Okay. Fastest growing free power-ups. We've got some repeats in here, so that might save us a little bit of time here, but same thing we've been going through. These are just free ones. Very, very explicitly free power-ups you could start using right now. You don't have to pay for.
Yeah, so I was going to say specifically, we just started doing this year because last year we launched our free power-up guide, which you can see linked on the right there. So that
yes.
for people to check out. So because Trello don't do it, we go through, we sort of list every single free power-up basically. So yeah.
Yes, I'm going to put a link to, let me open that in a new tab. I'm going to put a link to that in these chats here for anybody who's wanting to.
Yeah, and we update that every single month. So when we're doing our monthly process of looking at new power-ups, one of the things we do is just check any free ones and make sure they get added to that. And all the data there is updated every month as well. So again, you can always go in and see like what are the most popular free power-ups in any category. Yeah.
I love that. That's awesome. So yeah, so honestly, we've talked about card numbers, swim lanes, forms, import, Trello tree view. This is a new one that I hadn't seen before. I thought this was kind of interesting. I again haven't played with this, and just, you know, in preparing for this, I kind of looked through the listing here. I could see how some people would probably want this, like, you know, collapsible views of things going on in Trello. But again, not something I've particularly played with. Have you?
No, I have not looked at that. I'm just trying to think where I might have used that in my life if I wanted to. But yeah, interesting one. Obviously, is doing it for some people, right? So
yeah, exactly, right. You know, 25,000 people are like, yeah, this is pretty cool. I mean, you know, I like that you can see total cards in a list. So it looks like there's probably like collapsible views here that lets you kind of have the sort of stats that you want to see.
It's multiple boards as well, isn't it? That's sort of the interesting thing. So you can actually see if you've got a bunch of different themes on different boards, you can quickly sort of expand and filter and see across all of those, that's, you know, a cool, quick way of viewing that data, you know, like
right. Well, and I was going to say this part about collapsing list cards on a board without archiving. That's actually pretty handy too, because some people are like, I don't want to like archive this data because I want to be able to access it when I want it, but 90% of the time I don't want it cluttering my view. There's not a great way to really do that in the board. The best way I usually advise is giving cards a label that's like hide this, and then using filters to show all the cards that, except for the ones that have the hide this label. But like, you know, this is probably a free and much more straightforward solution. If you're like, that's actually really important to me, is, you know, I'm looking at this right now and I'm already now thinking of things I might do for my camper with this, right? Where it's like, I don't need to see my pre-trip checklist when I'm on my trip, but I also don't want to get rid of it. I don't, you know, want to scroll past it, but yeah.
I'm thinking,
so that's kind of interesting.
You could be sitting in a meeting and you could be looking at, you know, say you've got 2 teams, 3 teams, development teams, and you want to say, well, let's look at what's on the next sprint for the 3 development teams. You've just got that up, 3 boards and next sprint open, you know, and then like, let's see what's in progress, close that, open that up. And you can do that with Blue Cat and a quick list. You can do that in a bunch of other ways, but that's a really quick way of just getting in and seeing that data in here. Like,
yep, exactly. A quick visual way of doing that if you're just trying to go to a specific section and not get distracted by stuff. Cool. Matrix for Trello. This is another one I haven't really played around with too much, but I think it's kind of okay. Yeah, I was gonna say I thought this might be by the AppFox, AppFox team. I mean, it sounds a little bit kind of like swim lanes, but a little bit different. I think it's similar in the idea of like grouping by 2 different sort of priorities where you're trying to kind of like compare these sort of things together. And you've got, you know, your x-axis is maybe your list or something, and your y-axis is like, you know, something else that you're trying to see what's going on here. So yeah, I think that's interesting. I can see why a lot of folks are using it. especially, since it's, there's a free version that lets you kind of move cards around as you need to. That's super handy.
Yeah, I guess that sort of prioritization matrix idea, is it? You can say, is it urgent and is it what
urgent? Yeah, the Eisenhower matrix, like important versus urgent, and
yeah, and you can have more fine-grained versions of that, of like priority 1, 2, 3, this, that, and and see where everything is then. So you can imagine, and I'm sure there's a whole lot of other really interesting uses for it, but
yeah.
Look at your backlog in that way, and it's like a really powerful way of visualizing it,
Yeah, I definitely need to play with this one more because I can see it's one that, like you said, I can see uses for it. I haven't used it yet. I think actually I may have used it when they were beta testing it like a long time ago, but I haven't really played with it much since then.
No, it's one I've not really thought about, and I've seen it on the lists, and now that we talk about it, I'm like, actually, I'm kind of interested to go and give it a go.
Right? So, this is so fun. It gives me like, my sort of list of things I need to play with and work on here.
Yeah.
Scaled by Screenful. Okay, so I mentioned, reporting power-ups. Screenful is another one that I talk about, and I know when it comes to reporting power-ups, like, a lot of people would put Blue Cat and, Screenful and Placard, like different ones kind of all in the same bucket. I think you're probably going for very different things if you're picking one of these different ones. And again, I talk about this in my book. As Andy mentioned, feel free to read the book. And I kind of talk through how, in many situations, you're not like really trying to decide between Blue Cat. I mean, maybe I don't know. I don't know if you agree with Robin, but like, you're not necessarily, you may think you're choosing between Screenful and, Blue Cat or something, but really, depending on what you're trying to do, there's one that's going to be really like what you're looking for. They're not so similar that it's like, I don't know which one I want.
No, and I get on demos with people and they say what they want, and I tell them to go and use something else because
exactly.
There's a better solution, and we're not built for what they're looking for. Basically, we know, what kind of use cases we try and satisfy, and I think everyone's sort of found a niche.
Yeah, everybody's kind of got theirs. Yeah, totally makes sense. And I'll admit, I have used some of these this year with the card size and card priority. These used to be individual power-ups, but as you can see, they are now combined into one. And so, if you're basically looking for I don't even want to say custom fields, because again, you can kind of make custom fields that do this, but custom fields that interact with each other quite well. This will do that for, if you want to estimate card sizes, if you want to, see the priority of cards and see like what's dependent on each other, or epic cards. I was using that again, kind of like a parent versus child relationship sort of thing with cards. And so it's, great way to kind of go through that. So
back when I was managing software development teams, when we were running on Trello, then actually this is exactly the sort of thing we would have installed, because we were doing all of those things. We were doing what is it, card size, but with a little notation in the card title, like everyone used to do.
Exactly. Yes. Oh my gosh, all those little hacks where we'd make it in the title. Yeah.
That was the burn down to Trello technique, wasn't it?
Yes, it was. Yeah.
Pioneer in Trello add-ons. So you can see the software development team, Scrum team, Kanban team, absolutely going to be interested in trying something like this out.
Oh yeah, 100%. And then these next ones here, we've got print board. I bet that does what it sounds like. Whoops, wait, did I click the wrong thing? There we go. Oh, interesting. Where did that go? Print board. Print. Ooh, did they disappear?
That was something I forgot to mention early on with the numbers. Is there's actually, although that sort of the growth this year might not look as big as the previous years, we've seen quite a lot of power-ups getting removed and delisted, which I think is just sort of power-ups that weren't being supported so well.
Interesting. Yeah, I think they may have just renamed it. Do you think maybe it's this one and they just renamed it, or is that, well, no?
It wouldn't. It's not done.
That wouldn't be, because it's different.
I'll have a look at the next one and I'll see if I can.
Let's see if we can find that. But I mean, it happens. I bet that one does exactly what we're imagining, though, where you can, print your boards when we find that one here. Card done. I actually have been using this one on a couple different boards. I made a video once about automation, because it used to annoy me how when a card is done, there might be multiple things I need to do with it. Like, when I finish something, I maybe haven't checked off every item in the checklist. There's a due date, all these sort of things. And it, used to be like a bit of extra steps, right? To be like, well, let me drag it over to this list. Let me check off the due date. Let me, complete this checklist. This will do it for you. You define what makes something done, and then you click a done button and it completes the due date, completes the checklist, all those sort of things. Because as much as I want to be good about going through all of my checklists, I'm usually not going to check my very last item. If I finish the last item on my checklist, I just want to be done with the card and shoot it over. And so this is a really great one. I've used this, like I said, on a couple different boards. And yeah, you can get some cool stuff with the pro things. I can't remember now that I think about it if I've used the pro version or not. I want to say I may have done it because I feel like that lets you, they have something that I feel like, if I'm remembering this correctly, lets you access it on a mobile, like you can use it on your phone. If you're using the pro version, there's some sort of workaround they do with it, right? Like, because you obviously can't exactly see power-ups on mobile, but so yeah, so that's a pretty cool one. And then, yeah, Robin, do you still need to, I realize we are like, really going through time here. Do you need to bounce in like a minute?
I got another 5 or 10 minutes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I think we can cruise.
That printboard power-up, I think, has been delisted.
Oh, no. Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
so we'll see another board printing power-up leap up the numbers next year when everyone installs
exactly
that, right?
Right, exactly. There'll be a new one. Yeah, for sure. And for anybody who's like, oh, I was really interested in that functionality, it looks like there's something called Pretty Print that was in the store that probably does something similar. It doesn't have 15,000 boards, but yeah, if you're looking for that, there's that. And then, all right, we're at our last category, Robin. Tell us more about, these are ones made by Trello or Atlassian, right? It's like not you or me, anybody making it in-house.
Yeah, and you can see why we don't include them in the other listings, because they've got like an additional 1 million installed, so they just outstrip everything, right?
Yes, exactly.
So we pull these out, we put them down separate. We put them down at the bottom because they're probably the ones that everyone's seen anyway, hence like the massive install counts. But it's kind of interesting. The calendar up top, we've got 2 calendar sync power-ups above this. This is absolutely like the most installed power-up, full stop. Yeah, you can see sort of the power of that. And we were talking about Slack and how handy that one was. So, yeah, exactly.
One thing I just want to say about Calendar Power Up that I do think is nice about it, a lot of people are like, I don't want to pay for Trello views. Like, all I really want is to see my cards plotted on a calendar. You can get the Calendar Power Up. You don't have to pay for this Power Up. You don't have to pay $10 a month per user for premium Trello to get this view. You can use Calendar Power Up, and it works very similar to the views there. So there's a few minor differences. I do talk about this in my book. Didn't mean for this to be an ad for my book, but yeah, that's one thing. One thing I was going to call out about that. If you're like, I just quick and dirty want to view these plotted on a calendar, that's exactly how you're going to want to do that. Slack. We did talk about this. It's just like Discord. Except with Slack, you say, hey, this is the channel. When something happens, send an update to the channel. Like if a card moves, post in the channel and say, Brittany moved this card. Brittany commented on this card. You can select which type of activities you want to watch and things like that. I do think Trello and Slack integrate pretty nicely. And this power up for sure helps. There's stuff you can do with automation. Like I've just been working with a client, showing them how, you want something specific to happen, like not just, maybe when a very specific checklist is completed, you want to send someone a DM, you can totally do that. That's with automation though, not with the power up. So just wanted to call that out. Voting power up. This is a common one. I've used this on boards. Have you used this, Robin? I feel like this one gets used in a lot of different places for all sorts of things.
Yeah, I've not used this for a long time. I see it. You see it a lot on public boards, don't you? That's like, when somebody's published, like
feature requesting or something like that. It's a quick way to upvote something or like, talk time. Like it's a great way to do a poll because, you can literally just, vote and you can see how many votes are. And because Trello made this, they integrated it within their list and stuff. So you can actually filter a list by how many votes it's had. So if you want most voted cards to go to the top, which is pretty cool because not a lot of other power-ups, the power-up typically has to make that own sort of functionality to be able to sort a list by something in that.
Unless they make a point of integrating with custom fields, which is what we generally try to do, so that then there's that interoperability between us and other power-ups and the Trello itself, basically. But it's not always possible to do that in an easy way. So sometimes, you're stuck doing something else. So.
Yep, exactly. And then Confluence Cloud. Andy, if you're still with us, are you like cheering over there? We've got, attach Confluence pages to Trello cards, manage content, strategy, and ideas right in Trello. I think they've gotten really good about this. I know that's been a big theme of Atlassian and Trello in general this past year is making all the tools work together really nicely. And I'm still not a big Confluence user, but you can embed Confluence pages. You can kind of like if you've ever tried to paste like a Google Doc as a preview right here, you can edit the Google Doc within Trello without ever having to leave it. You can do that with Confluence as well. So it's a nice way to kind of tie all the products together. So no surprise to me that one's up there. I think they've also been promoting it pretty heavily. And then lastly, we've got GitHub, which, does what it says. I've never personally found this one incredibly fantastic. I've always kind of hoped for, I think, a little bit more automation. I think that comes with this sort of power up, which is often how I tend to feel with the integration power ups is that, I'm like, well, if you're just going to paste a pretty link of something, I can do that, like do a little more with it. But it is nice that it shows, some good previews, has different labels for statuses and things like that. I haven't used it in a while. So maybe it's grown since then. Have you used it recently, Robin?
I've not used it super recently. I don't think anything has changed with it in quite a while. Yeah, I mean, I liked it when we were using it. I used it when I was more actively involved in PR requests and this sort of stuff. And it's going to have it there and you can just sort of click through to it. But yeah,
exactly.
There's an element if they've done enough to be useful, but it's not, it's not Trello's #1 focus, is it? Their GitHub integration. So
right, yeah, exactly.
Those third-party ones where they're like obviously going to go and add in, click here to, review this or to add a comment.
Right, like actually do an action with it, not just click this to shoot me somewhere else. But yeah, okay, cool. Well, we've made it through the list. Thank you so much, Andy, for joining us. I know you're still with us. Said using daily the Confluence and Trello. So that's awesome. Glad to hear that. And thank you everyone for joining. This is awesome. I've got I need to probably do some deeper dives on all of these in my newsletter not every week. I kind of alternate some of the sections that I do, but almost every week I'll pick a different power up and kind of talk about it, how you might use it and stuff. So this gives me a lot to kind of go off of here rather than just randomly opening up the power up directory and being like, oh, I haven't seen this one before. What do I do with this? So yeah, and maybe we'll do this again next year. See what's going on in 2024. But yeah, thank you so much for joining, Robin. Appreciate it. As always.
That was good fun.
Yeah, this is awesome. Any closing thoughts or anything else you want to share?
No, everyone go and install all of my power ups and send me lots of money, and I'll mention you next year on the live stream.
I love it. That's perfect. Done. Awesome. Well, thank you everyone for joining. And yeah, this is recorded, so if you had to miss part of it, you'll be able to watch this on the respective channels, and I'll be including in my newsletter this week too. But yeah, thanks everyone. Thanks, Robin, and see you all later.